Let me say something gently, but honestly. One of the hardest truths about personal growth is realizing that not everyone in your life is meant to grow with you. Not because they are bad people, not because you are better than them, but because growth changes you. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you value. It changes the direction your life begins to take. And sometimes, the life you are growing into no longer fits the environment you started in. That realization can feel confusing because you still care about the people around you. You still remember the history you share. But something inside you has shifted. And once that shift happens, you can't pretend not to see it. Today, I want to talk about a difficult but important truth. What happens when growth creates distance between you and the people you once felt closest to? Here at Dream Life Diaries, we talk about the real journey of becoming. Not just the inspirational moments, but the quiet, uncomfortable seasons of transformation that often happen behind the scenes, because personal growth is not always glamorous. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels confusing. Sometimes it feels like your life is changing faster than the people around you understand. And when that happens, many people start questioning themselves. They wonder, am I changing too much? Am I leaving people behind? Am I becoming someone they won't recognize anymore? These questions are part of the rebuilding process. Because growth doesn't only change your mindset, it changes your priorities. It changes your standards. And sometimes it changes who can walk beside you on the next chapter of your life. That doesn't mean you've done something wrong. Often it simply means that your life is evolving. One of the first signs that you are growing is that things that once felt normal begin to feel different. Conversations that once excited you begin to feel draining. Environments that once felt comfortable begin to feel misaligned. Goals that once seemed important no longer hold the same meaning. And this can feel unsettling because the life you built was once enough. But growth expands your awareness. You begin seeing things differently. You begin recognizing what energizes you and what quietly depletes you. This is not arrogance. This is awareness. And awareness changes everything. One of the painful realities of life is that growth rarely happens at the same pace for everyone. Some people are comfortable staying where they are. Others feel an internal call to evolve. Neither choice makes someone a bad person, but it can create distance. Because when your direction begins to change, the paths that once ran side by side may begin to separate. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of personal growth. People often assume that distance means rejection. But sometimes, distance simply means your journeys are moving in different directions. Many people feel deep guilt during this stage. They begin asking themselves, am I abandoning people? Am I becoming selfish? Should I stay the same so others feel comfortable? But growth is not betrayal. Growth is alignment. You are not leaving people behind out of arrogance. You are responding to the direction your life is taking. And that direction often requires new boundaries, new priorities, and sometimes new environments. Sometimes, when God begins transforming a life, He starts by changing the way we see things. You begin noticing patterns you didn't see before. You begin recognizing what strengthens you and what slowly drains your energy. And that clarity can change your relationships. Not because you love people less, but because your life is being aligned with a deeper purpose. Distance in these seasons is not always loss. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is preparation. And sometimes it is simply the natural result of becoming someone new. There is also something else people rarely talk about. Growth can feel lonely because when your mindset begins to change, you may find yourself standing between two worlds. The life you used to live no longer fits who you are becoming, but the life you are growing into has not fully arrived yet. This in-between season can feel uncertain, but it is also the space where transformation happens. It is where your new identity is forming. The truth about outgrowing people is not harsh. It is simply honest. Growth does not mean you stop caring. It does not erase the memories you share. It simply means your life is moving in a direction that requires different alignment. And while that can feel uncomfortable at first, it also creates space. Space for relationships that support your growth. Space for environments that encourage your purpose. Space for the person you are becoming. If this message resonates with where you are right now, like this video so it can reach someone else who may be walking through the same season. Subscribe to Dream Life Diaries if you want encouragement that supports your healing, your faith, and your becoming. And I want you to comment below, I'm growing. Sometimes, the first step in transformation is simply acknowledging that your life is changing. Outgrowing people is never easy, but it is often the quiet evidence that your life is evolving. Because the journey of becoming doesn't always keep the same company, but it always moves you closer to the life you were meant to live. And that journey is what gentle rebuilding looks like.